Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Listen, if you're consulting in the compliance space, I am absolutely thrilled to walk you through something that is, quite frankly, a total game changer for how our operations actually work. Today, we're diving deep into the Evidex compliance engine. This is a brilliant system designed to take all those disorganized, chaotic client files and instantly transform them into highly structured, automated, high-margin compliance artifacts. I mean, let's be real. If you have ever spent a caffeine-fueled weekend desperately tracking down faded receipts, trying to map them to specific KPIs for a grant closeout or an audit sprint, well, you know exactly how painful that manual labor is. So we're going to look at how to literally automate that pain away. It's a savvy, profit-focused approach, and I really can't wait to show you the mechanics under the hood. So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll hit the SME compliance blind spot, then the anatomy of the evidence zip, reseller economics and batching, the quiet engine pipeline, payment gating and automated emails, and finally, the local AI advantage. All right, let's jump right into part one, the SME compliance blind spot, and why this is a massive $65 billion missed opportunity. To really put the sheer scale of this into perspective, the global compliance software market is projected to hit a staggering $65 billion by 2029. But here is the kicker. If you trace where that money actually goes, over 90% of that spend is strictly dedicated to massive enterprise-tier software. And that creates an enormous market void. Think about it. We have roughly 1.8 million registered nonprofits in the US alone. Not to mention the millions of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs globally. They are left completely structurally underserved by that $65 billion machine. Why? Because the enterprise market is built around selling permanent, continuous software for ongoing posture management. But your average SME or NGO, they don't want or need continuous, heavy software. They desperately need a one-off, urgent finish line just to satisfy an impending audit or a grant closeout sprint. When you stack up the existing solutions, the gap in the market becomes undeniable. I mean, generic storage like Google Drive? Sure, it's cheap, but it leaves 100% of the manual mapping to the auditor. Total nightmare. Enterprise GRC platforms take months to onboard, cost an absolute fortune, and are totally missized for a one-off project. Then you've got manual consulting from a Big Four or boutique firm, which is incredibly slow and often starts well over $5,000. Contrast all of that with the evidence engine. You get an automated, deterministic structure, delivered in under 48 hours for less than $1,000. It's the exact turnkey product this market is begging for. Moving right along to part two, anatomy of the evidence SIP, or what we call the sponsor-ready deliverable. The magic really starts with establishing a rigid, pre-mapped control environment. You know how it is when a client hands over their files? It's just disorganized chaos? Well, the engine instantly overwrites that chaos with a standard, rock-solid hierarchy. It's no longer just a data dump. It becomes a highly defensive posture engineered specifically to preemptively answer any questions an auditor might have. So what's actually inside this zip? The engine automatically compiles 5 exact folders to cover every single angle. We kick off with the 00XX summary for that high-level board assurance. Then, the absolute holy grail, the 01 evidence table, providing the direct KPI to source description key. Following that is the narrative folder for qualitative context, the sources folder for clean, raw proof like receipts, and an optional appendix for things like email summaries. By automatically generating this perfectly structured zip, you're handing over everything needed for a high-stakes audit and completely removing the manual mapping burden from the reviewer. It's beautiful. Okay, part 3, reseller economics and batching. This is where we unlock high margin scale. The absolute crucial point for our bottom line is understanding how this deliverable shifts from being a stressful, manual project into a wildly scalable business model. Because your labor cost is now fixed to an automated file drop instead of bespoke, hourly grinding, your gross margins scale instantly with volume. You can easily leverage multi-tier pricing. For instance, a standard NGO grant compliance pack might run at $500, while a premium corporate audit sprint comes in at $900. And importantly, both of those keep you safely under that psychological $1,000 threshold. But here is the most powerful aspect of this whole model. Zero CAC, or zero customer acquisition cost. Reseller economics. Imagine partnering with a boutique monitoring and evaluation, or M&E, consultancy. Instead of you hunting down clients one by one, that partner brings you 10 to 50 repeat clients in bulk batches. Because of how the engine is configured, you can set a special $400 unit price via an intake.yaml override specifically designed for these reseller batch orders. Your acquisition cost basically drops to zero, making the whole system incredibly profitable. Let's dive into part 4, the quiet engine pipeline, and how we achieve a totally hands-free operational flow.
The beauty of this system is that the simplest path is entirely hands-free. It all kicks off with the client filling out a customized Google form and uploading their files. Bam! A Google Apps script automatically creates a structured job folder in Google Drive. Next, Google Drive for Desktop syncs that folder straight to your local machine. The second those files land, a local watcher detects them, kicks into gear, compiles the entire pack, and seamlessly drops the final zip into a local deliveries folder. No clicking, no dragging, it just happens.
And that pipeline leads to a massive, massive operational shift. Because of this automation, a single operator can easily monitor and process dozens of concurrent 48-hour delivery jobs. You aren't individually babying these files anymore. Every single job is just an asynchronous file drop. The engine is doing all the heavy lifting, which allows your operational capacity to scale horizontally without adding a single new headcount. Which brings us to part 5, payment gating and automated emails, because of course we need to secure the revenue. So in standard processing, the engine just starts churning the moment files appear. But honestly, we never want to waste valuable processing power on unpaid submissions. So we use a gated flow. By setting a specific environment variable, require_payment equals 1, we ensure that the financial side of your business is perfectly, strictly synced with the technical execution. The watcher literally just holds the job securely until the payment is explicitly confirmed. Let's look at how that actually works in practice, because it's super clever. It relies on precise automated file triggers. When the client pays via your link, a Stripe webhook drops a simple text file named paid.txt right into their specific Google Drive job folder. Drive syncs that little text file to your local PC, your watcher sees paid.txt, and immediately unblocks the job. Once the zip is compiled, the watcher drops a delivery_email.txt file into the folder. That triggers another Google Apps script to email the final project straight to the client. These triggers completely decouple your time from both intake and delivery. Finally, let's wrap up with part 6, the local AI advantage, zero API costs, and total data sovereignty. It's really crucial to understand that the absolute bedrock of the Evidex engine relies on deterministic heuristics. It can produce those perfectly structured zips without a single drop of AI. However, there is an optional large language model, or LLM, enhancement layer. When you turn that on, it analyzes the raw files to generate vastly superior narrative text and really sharp, concise KPI evidence summaries, genuinely taking the final deliverable to the next level. And this configuration is where the real magic happens. By default, you might plug in an OpenAI API key, right? But that costs money per token and sends sensitive client data to the cloud. Instead, by tweaking a few environment variables, like pointing your llama_base_URL to your local host port, you instantly switch to running incredibly powerful open source models completely free on your own hardware. You can even route tasks. For example, you could use Qwen 2.5 for your tight summaries and Llama 3.2 for the broader narrative writing. It gives you infinite scale with literally zero API cost risk. Oh, and remember, in the compliance world, sometimes an auditor is going to aggressively object to the use of an AI black box. If that happens, no panic. You have total deterministic control. You just flip a single kill switch in the settings, LM_disabled equals 1, and the engine still flawlessly compiles the exact same structured pack, relying entirely on its heuristic foundation. You are never trapped by the tech. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. If your labor cost is no longer tied to grueling manual hours, but is instead fixed to an automated file drop, what does your capacity actually look like? When you replace bespoke consulting with deterministic automation, your ability to scale revenue is limited only by your distribution channels. It's a massive shift from just managing operations to capturing real opportunity. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks some incredible ideas for your own scalable workflows.